Welcome to Awaken Health Pod. I'm Jennifer Grogan, Integrative Health Coach with Greenleaf Wellness in Peoria, Illinois. And I'm with Shauna Scrodell, Integrative Health Coach with Inspire Wellness for You in Arizona. How are you, Shauna?
I'm great. Good morning. It is October 3rd, 2018, and we're on episode 21. Today, we're going to talk a little bit about pantry makeover mixed with a little bit of grocery tips when you're grocery shopping. Is that right, Jen?
Yes.
Perfect. Well, before we get going, how's your morning?
It's going pretty good. We're actually going to have a high of 88 today, so tomorrow will be in the 60s. So trying to get out and about and get that sunshine while we can and just try and take it easy and relax and be mindful.
Good for you. That sounds great. We have cooler weather coming in a few days from now. So October here in Lake Havasu, I think we as a community are all ready for that. Most of us.
Yeah.
Yeah, it'll be a while before it's actually cold. When are you like pretty much in the 50s and?
We'll start dipping down probably towards, probably the end of October, early November. And there are occasional times where, like at Thanksgiving, it'll snow here.
Oh,
but for the
cool.
most part, it's not like a real heavy snow. So it's one of those, real light dustings on the grass, and then it's gone.
Yeah. We're going to be up in near Mormon Lake by Flagstaff, Arizona this weekend, my husband and I, and it is saying it's going to be cold and rainy, but it actually says it might snow, so I'm totally shocked for October. We'll see. I'm sure, like you said, it'll just be that light little dust, so we'll see, but be interesting.
Well, bundle up.
I know. So, where do you want to start first? Do you want to start on some pantry tips? Do you want to start on some grocery tips?
Well, I think it all falls in place basically under, the tips that we're going to give. Really, if you think about it, are going to fall under grocery shopping because what you purchase goes in your pantry, goes in your fridge. I would probably start with it's a really good idea to keep healthy items on hand all the time, especially if you know you're one that has the strong cravings at a certain time of the day. So rather than go into like your Kit Kats and your Snicker bars, if that's what you do, or your potato chips and stuff, you can keep stuff on hand, say like your dark chocolate 85%. I recommend watching your sugar alcohols with the sugar content and the carbs because they're all different even though it's dark chocolate. So I always recommend going with the ones with the lower end of the sugar and lower end of the carbs with no sugar alcohols. You want to keep good protein on hand. I know a lot of people like those Kind bars. You can keep quinoa. If you like beans, do the dried beans, and you can mix that with your quinoa so you get the protein, and that will help cut down on some of the cravings. So, and I like to keep peanut butter on hand just because with the kids in the house, it's a great fall too. If they want a snack and it's not quite dinner time yet, you can give them peanut butter and celery or a peanut butter and cracker or, whatever.
And be cautious when you're shopping for your peanut butter. Just make sure that the ingredient says peanuts. Or sometimes there's peanuts and salt, or sometimes peanuts and you don't want to have hydrogenated oils. You don't want to have vegetable oils. You definitely don't want to have added sugars in your peanut butter. And so we just want our listeners to kind of be cautious about that because that's a good way to reduce your daily sugars while still having essentially a superfood, right?
Right. And, at our house, we choose the Smuckers because it's only peanuts. And there again, if you consume too much of the peanuts, the oilies, kind of over time, the more you consume, you're just going to feel kind of blah. So just be mindful.
And then some people will have a peanut allergy. Their kids may have a peanut allergy. And also some people, their gut and their GI just doesn't like peanuts. And that's okay. We want everyone to do what works best for you because you have an idea of what works for you and what doesn't. So, but otherwise, if you haven't tried it or you need a healthy snack, I would definitely suggest trying out having the peanut butter on hand, like Jen said.
Yeah, and almond butter is really good. I use that a lot too.
Yeah.
And you like berries. People don't think about putting berries in their fridge when they go grocery shopping all the time just to have on stock. But, think of the things that don't raise your glucose, and berries are a really good snack.
Mm-hmm.
So you can also throw stuff like strawberries in your salads and stuff.
Yeah.
So
And blueberries are an anti-inflammatory too. So if you kind of get some extra blueberries in, it could help potentially reduce any added inflammation that I think many of us struggle with.
Mm-hmm. And then, keep your healthy fats. A lot of times people think fat makes you fat, but the healthy fats like your avocados, sunflower seeds, pumpkin seeds, walnuts, cashews, and almonds are all very good for you. So those, again, will help decrease your cravings. So
yeah, and I really like having some good quality oats for oatmeal handy because that's a healthy fat, it's a healthy carb, it's a healthy protein, and for those who can tolerate it well, I don't buy or recommend the instant, let alone the ones that have all kinds of sugar and stuff added in it. They're just extra processed. They have extra things that your body doesn't know what to do with because it's not a whole food anymore. But I think an oat, and then if you wanted to add a little goat's milk, some berries, maybe a little bit of local raw honey to sweeten it up if needed, cinnamon, butter, salt. There's so many different things that you could put with your oatmeal, and it doesn't really go bad. So in the pantry, you have this healthy, filling, protein-packed food on hand, and then it's a good choice. Even if you are craving something sweet, you could put some butter and cinnamon in there and have a pretty healthy treat.
Sounds good.
I know. I might have to have some today. Speaking of, I actually found one. It's Kia, and it's oats with quinoa and maybe a little bit of chia seeds, and it's a blend, and I love it. It's really good with no added sugars or anything.
Sounds really good.
Yeah, but I didn't mean to get you off track.
Oh, no, you're fine. I just a couple weeks ago did my own pantry makeover in my fridge. And I just recently wrote a newsletter to my subscribers about the pantry makeover in fridge and put the pictures on there. And I'm like, oh, no, they're going to think I'm crazy because my whole floor was just covered in, stuff we don't eat anymore. Like the boxed foods, really watching the canned foods. And I would just suggest if you have boxed food, don't make that your go-to all the time because it's not real food. If you feel like you're in a time crunch and you have a box mix of something like beef stroganoff or whatever, that's fine. But just watch your ingredients on the box and try and go more organic, non-GMO if you can. And just be cautious of how often you do that. So recently my pantry makeover, I was like, we don't use this anymore. I'm throwing this away. And then watch your dates on your canned goods. There again, you were talking about salt earlier. You want to watch your canned foods because it has a lot of sodium. So if you have the beans in a can, just make sure you rinse them really well. And if you don't like the gassiness of the beans, put a little baking soda while you're cooking it, and it diminishes the gas effect for you later. So try and go with the no salts. So if you have to season it later, you can put the pink Himalayan salt or sea salts or whatever in healthy form of salt, except for the iodized. And just rinse. It's key. And then you can also take a marker and you can mark on the front of the can the date and put the newest date in the back. So you're using up the older dates first. Because a lot of times we get in a hurry and we come home, we shove everything in the pantry. And then we forget what order we bought them in. And then we find out we're using up the new ones. And then before you know it, the other ones have expired. And so it's not good to eat anymore. So if you have to mark it, you can do that. Or just be cautious and read the bottom of the can and just stock it on the shelf according to the dates. And then keep all your cans together, your box stuff together, your oats together, and stuff like that.
Yeah, I like several points that you made there. The rinsing of the canned beans. I love that. I mean, sometimes some people, depending on your budget, you can empty this out and redo your pantry all at once. For others, a transition, I'd get rid of the foods that you're not going to eat or the ones that you thought were healthy years ago and you still have them in your pantry and you haven't eaten them yet and you would never buy it again. Unfortunately, I mean, it is good to donate that stuff because it does go somewhere where it's needed. but so you can transition. So now I have all organic canned goods, and I used to overbuy, like it was going out of stock and the world could end and who knows. And but then it's like you're buying, so and I would rebuy frequently as I would go to the store, and we would hardly ever eat it. So now I just try to keep a minimal amount, and really when it gets empty, I'll buy more, because that does save on your wallet. You're not overbuying, you're not buying what you don't need or what you're not going to use. But rinsing the beans, that's a great idea. I've never thought about that. I like that idea. If you can't sprout your own and soak your own and you buy canned, but what I would recommend, and I've studied this, is don't actually cook your canned beans. Just open them right out of the can, pour them on your salad, pour them in your soup, put them with your vegetables, whatever you're going to do, because actually for black beans particularly, when they're cooled, they have a less of a phytic acid and gas bloating effect. They do better for most people's digestive system by not being hot. So even if you go to a restaurant and you order black beans, sometimes people will actually wait till they're cooled down before they eat them. So we don't cook our beans. We just bring them right out of the can and eat them a little, can temperature. And
Very nice.
we tolerate that better. And yeah, you mentioned organizing your packaged goods, your canned goods, your dry ingredients. I try to keep not an overstuffed pantry anymore. I have 3 children, and we do home lunch most of the time. So I try to just get what I need for the week for their school lunches. Have a little bit of canned beans and canned organic soups for when you do need to be on the go or have that extra something. And then I have, your baking ingredients that last forever. I just kind of put them on the top, and when I need baking soda, baking powder, organic brown sugar or something like that in the rare occasion, or we're going to make cupcakes or something and I've got my cupcake liners, I have them. But that would be more like my unhealthy section, all the way at the top where I hardly go up there.
You need a ladder to get to the items because you don't use them very often.
But it's just important, you want to try to buy the foods that you will eat. You want to try to buy, you want to build a better palate so you can have healthier choices. And ideally, you really want to have an overstuffed fridge and just a mildly stocked pantry. You really want to focus on your fresh foods, fresh fruits and vegetables and eggs and cheeses if that's something that you have. Really your fresh food, and pantry is like supplemental. Pantry is like the extra if you're in need of something, right?
Mm-hmm. Yep, we've got Cheez-Its in ours. My soon-to-be 16-year-old has to have them, and I'm like, but he scarfs them down. And I'm like, make it last, dude. It's still a carb, so let's just kind of minimize. But and I was thinking, what's in my pantry now? You were saying that you had an overabundance of canned stuff, and I've got pudding. So like my youngest son knows he might have a little pudding in his lunch, but when he gets home, he's not supposed to overindulge. So there's times where he won't even touch it in his lunch. But I was looking at the pantry, I'm like, where did all these come from?
Oh my gosh.
Because you think of school lunches, you want to be prepared and stocked, and so there again, look at the date, throw away what's not good because you don't think about that.
Yeah.
And so I'm like, okay, well, we're not buying that for a while.
It's so funny. My husband's grandfather calls me Shawnee, and he'll always look at the date. Like we'll be there having breakfast or lunch or dinner or all 3 because they're Sicilian, and he's always looking at the expiration dates on everything. So as being health-minded, I'll always look at the labels for everything. But it's so funny because I didn't really start paying much attention to the expiration date until he, pointed this out to me. And now when I go, if I am on the go and I'm going to get a coconut water or something like that, kind of healthy and hydrating, I'll look at the date because I have left the store several times and I'm like, this tastes disgusting. What the heck? And it was expired. It's so important, especially if anybody buys those cold pressed drinks, juices. I don't recommend them daily or to stock your fridge with them, but if you are on the go, that's kind of like a healthier option given the circumstances. Definitely check the expiration dates. And I don't want to be kind of stingy, but when I'm at the grocery store, I'll kind of buy the one in the back that has
Oh, yes.
the later date than the one right in front of me.
Yes, it's like anything that's cold. It's like I always go to the back, or anything that's, yeah, just have to look right up front because everyone's touched it. I'm like climbing the shelf to get to the very back.
Yeah. So now,
yeah, I'm with you on that.
Now as health coaches, we offer pantry makeovers, and it's fun and it's interesting, and there's so much to learn, and you can make it a group experience. But for me, my pantry transformation was over quite a bit of a span of time because I kind of started removing everything that had soy. Then I started purchasing everything that had the lower sugar content and purchasing as organic and non-GMO as possible. And then, go ahead.
Well, I was going to say, and it takes time to get to where you can get everything switched over. So if it's something that you start thinking about, well, what's in my pantry? What am I, looking for? Your ingredients, what's the ingredients? You said soy. So if you're mindful of that, it's things that you want to cut out of what you're buying, just pick 3 items per week that you want to change out. And then before you know it, you've got everything switched over. And you don't have to tell your family because more likely, like my kids, you give them the almond chocolate milk and he takes a drink and he's like, I'm not sure yet. Give me some more. And I'm like 3 cups after it. I'm like, do you like it? So yeah, I mean, it just takes time and just be cautious of what you're looking for and switch it out, 3 items per week.
Yeah. When I had 2 kids, I used to soak my beans all the time, and I would cook them in bulk. And once in a while, when we did rice, I would soak it and sprout it. Now I have 3 kids, and I'm noticing those same bags of beans are in there. One of these days, I'm going to sprout those beans again.
That's funny.
Oh my gosh. But, and then don't put the bad stuff back in. Don't buy the potato chips. Don't buy the sugar Oreo cookies, and just don't buy that stuff anymore. Because once in a while, somebody's like, oh, here, we bought this for your kids. And I'm like, thank you. Here, kids, here's a little portion. And when the kids are sleeping, I dump it because it becomes a problem. It's not a treat. It's not healthy. Then they always want it. Then they start to build that bad gut bacteria and build those cravings, and then they don't want to eat the healthy food. And it's a constant transition with kids. That seems to be like right, because there's a birthday party, a slumber party, a festival, there's something, and then you kind of have a little bit more off track on your food, and then the next day they're not looking forward to that, spinach and butter lettuce salad. But
yeah, I hear you on that. And like Halloween's coming up, it's like they're gonna bring all that candy in.
I know. I have to share something. On Facebook, you can share posts and stuff like that. I have to share this for everybody. I loved it so much. A woman who goes to my church, she had this post, and I loved it so much. And this guy had said on Facebook, for everybody out there who has the teens come to your door, don't look at them and say, aren't you too old to be trick-or-treating? He's like, they could be doing so much other bad stuff. They could be partying, they could be doing this, they could be stealing, they could be doing so many bad things. Be happy and grateful that they are trick-or-treating and they're being a kid again, and just give them candy. And I loved it. Like, it almost tears me up just kind of thinking about it and saying it out loud. So I just want to share with all of our listeners that, let the kids enjoy Halloween and encourage them to go trick-or-treating. And I think it's great, minus the fact that it's candy. However, but I was talking with this about my husband, and I told him, I said, it's just so true. Like, I've seen that. I've seen people, aren't you too old? But here's the thing. What did we start out today's podcast talking about? It's pantry makeover, and grocery tour, we started talking about have this certain type of chocolate for when you have those cravings because it's the healthiest choice. So adults want candy. Adults dig into their kids' trick-or-treating bag. So it's like, of course the 16-year-olds also want some chocolate, you know?
Mm-hmm.
So I just had to, get off track a little bit and share that because I thought it was a really neat post. And the guy who wrote that, I definitely praise him for that.
That's really cool.
Yeah, it was really neat. But go back to what you were saying with Halloween, we're all dreading it. I know all the health coaches are like, oh my gosh. And anybody, it makes the kids a little wild and start wanting a lot of it, and they're like, candy.
Yeah. Well, I like a Kit Kat here and there,
Mm-hmm.
but maybe I should start buying toothpaste and handing that out. Parents will thank me for it,
Right? Get some Toms in there.
Well, aren't there dentists out there that collect the candy that you got for Halloween, and in return they give you like a reward or something? It's like if you paid them for it, they probably wouldn't, mind brushing their teeth more. And here's my chocolate, by the way. Give me my money.
Yeah.
I
Definitely
think it's
ways
also
to be creative.
Yeah, I think it's really important because I know you and I are really big on the gut health, and it's I think really important to stock the probiotics in your fridge. If they're the capsules, sometimes they work better cold, or the kombucha, or whatever fermented foods you're familiar with and want to try. Keep some of that on hand because gut health is really important, and a strong gut is a strong immune system. It's a healthier you. And so,
do you like sauerkraut?
I tried it here and there. It's not bad. I don't know if it's something I would make often because my family wouldn't have anything to do with it, and I don't,
I was going to ask you if you want to make your own sauerkraut with me. I can't do it this week, but I could do it next week. I love it, and I have the best recipe from Weston A. Price Foundation, Sally Fallon, and it's so easy and it's delicious, and it's much different than commercial grade. It's just so fresh and light, and it's pretty much you shred the cabbage, you get the caraway seeds, a little bit of salt, and then if you can, a little bit of whey, liquid whey. You don't have to though. And then you pretty much just put it in the mason jars and smash it. And first you kind of forget what it's called. Use a meat mallet or something, and you push and punch the cabbage when it's shredded out, laid out, on the table. Use the mallet, and then it'll get kind of juicy, and it'll break down those enzymes and fibers and release the liquids. Then you pack it in the mason jar, and then kind of push it down, and all those fluids will kind of float up. And then that's it. You don't even have to use a pressure cooker or anything to process the canned mason jars. You just leave it on your counter for a few days, and that builds, I believe, the lactic acid, which helps ferment it. And I'll share the recipe with you in case I missed a step, but it's easy, cheap, and delicious.
Sounds good.
Yeah. And for anyone who does want to buy pickles or sauerkraut, because fresh pickles are fermented, don't buy them at the grocery store unless they have a health food section or use a health food store, because that's when you actually get the ones that expire in a few weeks versus the ones that can stay in your pantry for, a year or two. So that's really when you're getting that fresh, live bacteria where it has to go in the fridge, not the pantry, and it's, so healthy for you.
Yeah, definitely. Send that to me because I'd love to try that.
Okay, cool. And it's so fun. It'll be fun to do it together. And for any of our listeners, if you want the recipe, we'll post it on there. And then if you make it, please share your experience, post your pictures, and let us know how you like it.
Sounds like fun.
So one more thing back to the pantry. Organizing products are really cool. We all probably have a bottom pantry shelf. Well, online at the store, you can find them. They're little shelves. You slide it underneath and it hangs on the bottom shelf, and that's where I'll put my plastic deli gloves, my foil, saran wrap, lunch baggies, those types of things, and it's a space saver. It creates more space. And then there's even tiered shelves where you could put teacups or stacked canned goods. And so you can actually create a lot more space in the pantry, make it look a lot more cosmetically attractive, and organized, and they're
Hmm.
cheap and they're fun. And so just think of little space saving pantry organization tools because they come in handy, that's for sure.
Very nice.
Oh,
You might want to keep some spices on hand too,
yeah. A
because I
whole
think
nother cabinet for that.
spice up your food a little bit. Get creative. I like the turmeric. I like garlic, um, cumin,
Hmm.
Pink Himalayan salt, black pepper. I like a variety, depending on what I'm using. A little bit of chili pepper, some cinnamon. Um, I don't know. I just like those flavors. Some of those I'll put in my scrambled eggs with avocados or my onions and peppers.
Oh,
The anti-inflammatory and you know.
I love your turmeric onion recipe. I've been just stocking up on onions and making it in bulk, and then I'll put it on salad. I'll put it as a side dish. Whatever we're having, I'll just make sure to top those on the side as a condiment. They're just delicious.
They're really good, and you mix it with a little bit of cabbage, shredded cabbage. Oh my gosh, it's so good.
Yeah.
Just had cabbage yesterday, so I stocked up with my seasonings on it. And, oh.
And then same thing with your seasonings. There is truth to quality and shelf life. So it's important to kind of look at those, and you just don't want to get some that have, a bunch of extra aluminized salt, which is regular commercial grade salt. Just be mindful and try not to store so much that you don't need, because then it'll sit and they'll kind of deflavor and lose some of their nutrient content. So try to keep them fresh and use them up. Don't stock up on them. Just buy them as you need them.
I always get the organic spices. I love it.
Mm-hmm. And fresh herbs. I know you've probably heard to use these a lot, but definitely the fresh herbs are the way to go. But I can't buy too much at once because I won't use them all, but I will. Basil's my favorite. I like tarragon sometimes. I like adding fresh dill when I cook some fish and salmon. So I really like having, or thyme if I'm going to do a stew or something like that. I really like having fresh herbs, when you are cooking a special dish, especially.
Mm-hmm. Another area is you want to make sure you got good oils on hand. You want the omega-3 oils, like your coconut oil, avocado, and extra virgin olive oils. The omega-6 oils, like my mind just went blank, vegetable oils, canola oils, and stuff like that are more inflammatory. So you want to really pay attention to your oils. And also, I've been looking at the salad dressing jars because it has the soybean oils in it. And I'm like, what the heck?
Yep.
I can start making my own ranch. But then I found a really good avocado ranch in the deli section. I forget the name of it now, the brand. But it's really good. It's low on everything, lacking in some of the ingredients that you don't need.
Is it yogurt-based instead of oil-based?
I don't think so.
Oh, okay.
I'll have to look. I'll post a picture of it.
Okay.
But I love it. And it's got more of a zing, like a distinctive flavor to it. So you kind of have to get used to it. But it's really good in salads, and you can do like your boiled egg and some avocados and stuff. It's really good.
Yeah, and shifting over from the pantry to the fridge in regards to salad dressings, do pay attention to your sugar intake. And if the first ingredient does have the soybean oil, you may want to consider an alternative because the soy has higher estrogens. It's very high inflammatory, nutrient blocking. So unless that's something you want to go for, which I'm going to doubt, I would suggest an alternative. So just label read. Look at your sugar, see what the first ingredient is, the first few ingredients. Some of the first ingredients, sugar, which means that's the heaviest product in the bottle. Why do you want to get a salad dressing that has sugar as the number one ingredient? So I know you don't, and we just have to label read, and we have to be cautious. And so then again, you're not going to go buying the cheap, salad dressings. You're actually going to start to kind of convert over to a little bit of a better quality they look nicer, and again, they have a shelf life versus the ones that can sit in your fridge for a year.
Yep. And it's really important when you're doing your ingredients, when you're looking at the box or jars, whatever, you want 5 or less, and you want to know exactly what the word means. You want it as simple as something a 4th grader, 3rd grader, 1st grader can tell you, oh, it's got water, tomato, salt, pepper. You don't want these words you cannot pronounce, because then you have no idea what they mean. And then you're taking more time grocery shopping, because if you're like me, you're on your phone researching what that is.
Yeah.
And if you don't understand it, you don't want to buy it. So I've really gotten in that habit of just, what am I getting? Why am I getting this? And, how much is in it? And just know your ingredients and stick to the 5 or less.
Yeah. Yep. A lot of fresh fruits, fresh vegetables, maybe some good quality yogurts that are low in sugar, herbal teas, good condiments. I mean, even ketchup has so much sugar in it, so I definitely buy the ketchup that's organic with no high fructose corn syrup. I don't use it a lot, but when I do have it, I don't want all that extra sugar with the food.
Mm-hmm.
So by the end of the day, when you've got lower sugar yogurt, lower sugar oats, lower sugar peanut butter, lower sugar salad dressing, you've really improved your health already by decreasing, 40, 50 grams of sugar in a day by eating the same foods. And I actually really show this to my clients and show them how this can be done. And when you start label reading, it just really can have a much greater benefit on the impact of your health.
Absolutely. It may not make sense at first, but eventually you get to that point where you're like, I get it now. So just stick with it, try it out, and be mindful. Notice how your body's feeling when you cut back on stuff. But make sure you got a good source of protein in your fats, and it'll make up for it.
And we appreciate you guys for listening, because we feel that you trust us as health coaches to give us your time and to listen to this knowledge to share with your families. Many of you probably already know much of what we've shared, but if you trust us to listen to our podcast, then definitely trust us that we've done years and years and years of research and shopping and labeling and brand reading and seeing what companies are promoting which brands and what their ethics are. And so, we're making it easy for you by just giving you the quick summary for the grocery shopping.
Yeah, because I do the grocery store tours with my clients, and it takes usually an hour and a half to 2 hours, because you really want them to understand what's going on, and they have questions, and I'm always like, so what do you do on this aisle? Do you shop on, and then they say, yeah. I'm like, okay, well, let's look at different things, and we'll compare, and then they're like, oh, I didn't know that. Okay.
Mm-hmm, so, absolutely. And I'll break off a piece of asparagus right there and let them try it and let them know, you can eat asparagus raw. A lot of people don't know. So when you're doing the grocery tour, there's so many benefits of, that one-on-one where, like you said, the questions come up and the education and expanding, your shopping, and it's pretty neat. It's fun too.
And it's really cool when they start adapting it, and they're losing weight, and they're feeling more energy, and they're getting excited, and they're being creative, and they get that glow, and then they're hooked.
Mm-hmm.
It's just so awesome and rewarding to watch. And so we're just here to help guide and educate. And for those that are wondering about what fruits and vegetables should I be getting, follow the Environmental Working Group's website for the Clean 15 Dirty Dozen list.
Mm-hmm.
And you can copy it, put it in your purse, put it on your phone as a picture.
Yep.
And when you go to the store, use it. It's very helpful. So
yeah, and just briefly re-explain that for our new listeners. What the list is.
The Clean 15 Dirty Dozen?
Yeah, just give a quick little rundown on it, what it is.
Well, the Clean 15 Dirty Dozen is telling you which ones are dirty, and, it's the ones that don't have the harder shells. So like your bananas will probably be okay, your avocados are going to be okay, your strawberries, you're going to want to really watch them because they're going to be dirty because they don't have a shell, and so it's got more pesticides and stuff like that on there. And then by following the list, it's just really helpful. So then you know if these are clean, this is dirty, and wash them really good, and just be cautious.
And then, too, a lot of us will buy organic because we think that's the only way to get a non-GMO product. However, many companies aren't able to pay for the organic labeling, and they actually already stick to non-GMO standards. So it's really good to look into your brand, look into the company, find out, because it may already be an organic fruit or vegetable. Maybe they've never genetically modified this particular vegetable, and it does change over the years. But I do look in that because sometimes, you get your vegetables that you don't have to buy organic. They're already organic. I mean, even popcorn, they cannot have genetically modified popcorn. It's genetically modified corn. It's not edible in its harvesting state. So all popcorn is actually used with organic corn. However, when there's caramel corn and cheddar and all of that, extra processed packaged stuff, of course, that's not, the best choice, and it's artificial and full of a bunch of non-GMO or GMO ingredients. But regular popcorn, you don't have to buy the organic version, as long as it doesn't have, saturated and extra butter and salt, then maybe go with the organic anyway.
Yeah. So, we want our kitchens to be the safe zone, and we want to know that what we have in there is going to help eliminate cravings. If we have cravings, we know it's something that's going to be healthy. And the pantry makeovers and the grocery store tours are something that Sean and I both offer in our programs. So if it's something that you guys are interested in, just feel free to contact us on Facebook at Awaken Health Pod, and we'd be more than happy to help guide you. And if you're in our areas, of course, we would go one-on-one. But yeah. Do you have anything else you want to add to our
I
tips?
think we missed a big one. The perimeter of the grocery store. Let's explore that a little bit. Is that okay with you?
Oh yeah, go right ahead.
Okay, so a lot of us can spend a lot of time and a lot of money filling up our shopping cart by going aisle by aisle, and it's just not necessary, especially when you're in a hurry. You just run right around the perimeter of the grocery store, because that's where you're going to have your whole fresh fruits, root vegetables, regular vegetables, onions, garlic, all the good stuff. That's where you're going to have any almond milk, coconut milk, your hard-aged cheeses usually are on the perimeter of the store, good quality meats, wild-caught fish. What am I missing? Whole grain breads if necessary.
Yeah.
Your eggs, all of that good stuff. Right there, that's a week's worth of shopping, right?
Oh yeah.
So you need to run and grab a peanut butter, or run and get, a different type of loaf of bread. Run in and grab some turmeric in the ground powder version. Pick up a thing of saran wrap. That's when you go to the aisle. But I really deter from going aisle by aisle. I only use them for a product that's on my list that I know I need, and that's the biggest thing. That's where your whole foods are. That's where your fresh foods are, and that's where your fridge and your belly and your family are going to be the happiest.
Our grocery store just changed their whole layout again after 5 years. So when you were like, "Is that right?" I'm like thinking about my store, like I don't know where they did with that stuff. I think that's right.
Yeah.
Each store is going to be different, but it's just, it takes a couple weeks to get used to the layout. But
yeah.
Yes, everything is in the outer. You don't need nothing from the frozen. The cans you can probably go without. If you're going to do beans, you can grab the bag. So
yeah, or the bulk. Some grocery stores will have the bulk nuts and the bulk beans, and that's on the perimeter of the store, from my experience. Well, and then the other thing is, a lot of people may not realize this, but red and yellow are power colors. They're also very big marketing colors. So have you ever walked down the frozen food aisle and everything is in like a red and yellow box? It's like a red box with yellow writing, and it's really not what you want to be buying. It's high in sodium. It's extremely processed. There's not a lot of nutrients. It's mostly not organic. I mean, really, when I buy the organic frozen foods, they're brown and green and black. They're not red and yellow, you know.
It's funny. I never really pay attention to that.
Yeah.
Probably because I skip the frozen aisles a lot.
Yeah.
But I'm gonna have to see if ours does that.
So, you know, it's tough. You know, those companies work billions of dollars into their marketing and subliminal messages, and people might think I'm crazy because some people disagree with that. But it's true, and it can happen, and be careful because, especially, you know, the old saying, don't go to the grocery store hungry, you know, definitely stay away from the you know, aisles of
red and yellow
processed foods and frozen foods. And I'll get, you know, I like to buy fresh vegetables, a little bit of canned vegetables that I hardly use. I don't even use them on a monthly basis. And then I like to have a little bit of frozen vegetables on stock because I'll pretty much go from my fresh resources to maybe a frozen, and in the rare case, a canned, which is usually a bean instead of a vegetable. But you know, it's nice to have backup, especially if you don't want to shop frequently. But for those who have local farmers markets, please support them, or local co-ops, please support them. And it's such a different experience to go take your basket and get some fresh carrots with the stems and fresh foods. And it's a beautiful experience, in my opinion. It's very lovely. And we don't really have much of that here. I actually have to drive to Vegas if I want to go to a local farmers market, and it's like 2.5 hour drive one way.
Wow.
I know.
And there's one more thing. You had mentioned the fish. If you're not already selecting, go for the wild or sustainably farmed lower mercury seafood. And that's going to be your sardines, salmon, herring, flounder, clams, crab, oysters, perch, pollock, and shrimp. The high mercury fish is going to be your tuna, swordfish, and Chilean sea bass. So I don't know what fish you guys like, but go with the ones with the lower mercury.
Yeah, that are wild caught or sustainable caught, because that means that they're, you know, most likely not getting fed grains, which I don't know how they ended up in the ocean anyway with farm-raised fish, genetically modified grains, let alone on the farm-raised fish. So, you know, definitely wild caught, or catch it yourself. I mean, if anyone knows anybody who's going up to Alaska and stocking up, let me know, because I'd love to pay some money for some fresh wild caught salmon. Yum.
So we gave a lot of helpful tips, and we hope you find them helpful and that you can start applying, and keep us posted. You know, let us know what you switched out, what you replaced it with, and how it's going for you.
Yeah, definitely. We hope that you use this podcast as a resource to help guide you and help you on your shopping journeys. We love the ripple effect. Share it with your family and your friends. I recently had a client tell me that, you know, she taught her mom about label reading, and that her mom's always label reading now. And it's just, you know, such a good feeling and a great feeling to share health. And if you are local near Jen, contact her. She'd love to give you a grocery tour. Same as me. If you're local here around Mojave County, Arizona, I would love to give you a grocery tour. It's a lot of fun. It's very insightful. And we wish you a wonderful week and weekend, especially enjoying October and the new season coming in. And again, we'll post the sauerkraut, and definitely let us know if you make it. Have a great day.